Happy Monday morning, class. This is Sister Higgins. Welcome to week 11. And you are in the home stretch towards the end of this semester, which for several of you means that the home stretch towards graduation. So I have been so proud of so many of you and how you have worked so hard throughout this course. And I know that this is not an easy course, but so many of you have done so well. So this week, we are going to be talking about focusing on interests, not on people, as we continue to go through and discuss negotiation. Now, I just took a screenshot of the outcomes and competencies and the activity list that's in your overview in iLearn. And I just encourage you to look through this so that you are prepared for what's happening and you kind of have an idea of what you should be turning in and what the goals are for what you should be learning throughout this week. So one of the things that Brother Bean talks about in his podcast, and I hope that all of you are taking the time to listen to that, is the elements of brainstorming and thinking outside the box. So I want you to be thinking about an area of your life that you are trying to think about and do negotiation on or try something new. And so one of the things could be the Come Follow Me program. Now that we have this home-centered, church-supported learning, how is that going for you in coming up with a time and a location to be doing that home-centered study? So if you were to look at before, what you're defining your purpose, you're choosing your participants, whether that's your spouse and your children or your grandchildren, roommates, friends, neighbors, whatever that might look like, and then changing and creating the environment. So where are you going to hold it? Or if you have been holding it, how can you change it? And then during the brainstorming or the studying, the participants should be sitting side by side. That's how you can learn. That's how you can negotiate, and that there's not one person that's more prominent than the other. Then clarify the rules. What are the expectations of your study or your negotiation? Have that up front, and then start brainstorming and sharing ideas. After the brainstorming or your study session, invent options or improvements, ideas on how you can improve what you have been doing, and then evaluate what those ideas are or how good that idea is or if there's something else that you want to do. So be thinking about how brainstorming can relate to your life. And then one of the things that Brother Bean talks about is the win-win in negotiation, and he gives the example of him and his wife trying to purchase a car in Salt Lake. And so I want you to think about how do you protect yourselves in a negotiation, but also be working towards that win-win scenario. And so I encourage you to listen to Brother Bean's podcast. So you'll also be learning this week about BATNA, which to me sounds like a Star Wars word, but it's the best alternative to a negotiated or a negotiative agreement. And there's also the WATNA, the worst alternative to a negotiated or negotiative agreement. And so this really goes down to negotiation and how you can come up with what that best alternative is, where you're agreeing on both sides. And you'll be going into further detail as you're studying this week. Okay, so due dates. Due Wednesday is your initial post. Now, I typically do not worry about this, but this is important as you're learning about this brother's case for this week, that you have that initial post down, and then you and your classmates have the rest of the week to respond back and forth. So try and have that initial post by Wednesday. And then on Saturday, your guiding questions, just like last week, which is also labeled as a capture in iLearn, but it is guiding questions, will be due on Saturday, as well as your case conclusion. I didn't put the study quiz, the practice quiz on here because it's not required, but I still encourage you to practice those quizzes as possible. And then I just wanted to touch bases really quickly on the final. I am going to release that during week 13 so that those of you that are close to graduation, you have a little bit of time to be able to get that final exam done and be able to focus on graduation and not worry about your grade or anything like that. So just know that at the beginning of week 13, I will be releasing that, but you'll have your normal assignments to do as well. So just remember, I have my office hours on Wednesday from 8 to 9 p.m. And you can also feel free to call me, text me, or email me in the meantime. So please know that you are in my prayers, and I know that you guys can finish this semester strong. Thanks, and good luck this week.